Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. United States President Donald Trump has invited Prime Minister Kamla Bissessar to a leaders' summit in Florida, USA, on March the 7th. The Prime Minister disclosed this to the media yesterday following her one-on-one meeting with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in St Kitts and Nevis. Rubio indicated that support will be provided through the U.S. Department of Energy regarding the reopening of the former Petrotrin refinery, which was shut down by former People's National Movement government in 2018, she said, under Rowley. And the Petrotrin was the backbone of our economy for many, many years. And due to mismanagement, the PNM decided to shut it down, even though they promised not to do so. The Prime Minister said her government was very serious about reopening the refinery, adding, Secretary Rubio agreed that they will put us on to their Department of Energy to assist us in seeking to get the best partner to open that refinery. She continued, we had several persons so far with expressions of interest, of course. At the end of the day, we will choose the best that we think that we can get. Persad also recalled that Energy Minister Dr. Rudal Munilal met with Orlando and that a meeting was scheduled with another interested party in St. Kitts. Maybe we could have more than one partner in this reopening and shareholding. My response, Trinidad and Tobago is now America's closest ally in the Western Hemisphere, which will encourage other democracies around the world to invest in our business sector. The free world may publicly criticize Trump because that's what everyone is saying. The whole of Europe and Canada and so forth is criticizing Trump. Yes, publicly they may criticize Trump because a lot of these governments are controlled by far-left radical leaders and political parties. But they all know the USA is one of their greatest trading partners and also the only democratic nation with a military capable of protecting their own territories. Trinidad and Tobago will now be respected around the world, even though the socialist autocrats will publicly condemn our alliance with the USA. Don't go anywhere. More local, regional, and international news up next. Trinidad and Tobago Unified Teachers Association tutor met with the Teaching Service Commission, TSC, in a virtual meeting on Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, describing the talks as productive. The union says it advanced several key concerns affecting teachers and secured clearer pathways for follow-up, reaffirming its commitment to strong representation on behalf of educators. Among the matters discussed were acting appointments, with the Commission clarifying that no directive had been issued to the Ministry of Education on acting versus performing duties, and that formal recommendations are required before appointment letters can be issued. Tutor said it will now seek answers from the ministry regarding reported delays, and of course they're also waiting for the increase in their salaries, which was promised to them in January, or that it was promised to them in December, actually, that it will start in January. When you want to make promises, Tanku, keep them. You're already using taxes, fees, and fines and duties in order to be able to generate revenue. Use it to fulfill your promises, please. A powerful digital tool to allow primary school students to express their imaginations has been launched by Pennacool, a leading local online educational platform. Pennacool launched a creative writing portal and signed an agreement with Flow on Wednesday. The company received more than $2 million from Flow to continue its educational work. Anything to improve the education system here in Trinidad and Tobago and assist our students in their studies is welcomed, of course. Regional news up next.
Today is about the strength of an ecosystem that has been carefully built over many years. At Pennacool, we have always believed that education works best when it is integrated. when books, digital platforms, teachers, students, parents, and reward and recognition systems all reinforce one another.
To date, over 354,000 students have benefited from the platform as they've prepared for secondary entrance assessment, SEA, through worked examples, tutorials, self-correcting exercises, reports, and even gamified rewards. Students are not only learning, they're engaging, practicing, and building confidence.
But when they have to transfer that story onto paper, they struggle with organizing their beginning, middle, and end, developing characters and events clearly, using paragraphs correctly, and writing in a way that makes sense to the reader. What a portal like this does is provide guided practice that helps children build those skills step by step.
Penacool provides free curriculum-aligned interactive exercises for primary school students.
Minister of Social Welfare, Community Empowerment, Ecclesiastical Affairs and National Heritage in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Siobhan John, in her address at this week's media launch of the 2026 edition of the SVG Gospel Festival, said the call for revival, which is the central theme for this year's festival, is both timely and necessary, definitely necessary. Minister John stated that revival is needed not only within churches, but across the nation as a whole. She emphasized that meaningful transformation begins with the individual, noting that national development is strengthened when citizens embrace positive values and personal responsibility. And this is wonderful to see St. Vincent and the Grenadines doing a whole lot more to hold on to sound biblical values. And it doesn't really matter about your specific faith, you know. The thing about it is, as a born-again Christian, I definitely value this. But Trinidad and Tobago used to hold on to basic biblical values. And therefore, this is why a lot of things that are being practiced today, especially gang culture, is becoming so prevalent and so prominent. It's because the entire nation, the entire society is moving away from sound, basic biblical values. And this is something that we need to reintroduce here in Trinidad and Tobago and crack down on the promotion and the glorification of gang culture.
In a world marked by uncertainty, rapid change, and many competing voices, the call for revival is both timely and necessary. Revival in our hearts, revival in our homes, revival in our churches, revival in our nation. Revival starts with you. When institutions invest in initiatives that strengthen the moral and spiritual fabric of society, they demonstrate an understanding that true development is holistic. It shows that economic growth must go hand in hand with social and spiritual well-being.
Yesterday, Guyana's President Dr. Irfan Ali and Prime Minister Andrew Holness of Jamaica met to discuss continued cooperation in energy, agriculture, investment, technology, transfer, regional security, and infrastructure development. President Ali reiterated Guyana's continued support for the people of Jamaica, being a brother's keeper, which is wonderful, leading by example once again, following Hurricane Melissa, and committed to strengthening the historical partnership between the two countries. Residents of Chatham and surrounding communities in St. James, Jamaica, who are still recovering from the impact of Hurricane Melissa, were the recipients of much-needed supplies from the Janet Richards Foundation, which donated care packages, clothing, shoes, and toiletries to them last Saturday. The items were handed out at the Beth Tefil Baptist Church in the community, where more than 50 recipients were also treated to ice cream, cake, and other refreshments. Janet Richards, the founder of the entity, said that her group would soon be undertaking similar efforts in her home parish, Hanover, and neighboring Westmoreland. Definitely seek out the needs of the individuals in the rural areas or the rural districts of Jamaica. The head of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, is urging local farmers and exhibitors to take part in this year's Agro Fest to maximize their exposure and expand their opportunities. He made the appeal during a press briefing held to welcome a delegation from Venezuela, which will participate in the event at Queen's Park. All our respective islands need to focus on becoming self-sufficient in food production. I mean, some of the smaller islands may not have sufficient land to do so, but we can do so here in Trinidad and Tobago to a great extent. And definitely we have a great partner in Guyana who has a lot of land to be able to do agriculture on a large scale.
I want to encourage our local Barbadian exhibitors to come out and stop hiding things under a rock, because nobody will see it that way. And as they were saying, they have wonderful entertainers. I'm sure that's the game. It's going to be good in terms of the professionalism that's exposed. And of course, that mixture of that cultural blend is something all of us can benefit from. And I really want to encourage Barbadians to come out. AgroFest 2026, it is going to be a very big event, bigger than last year. I'm hoping, of course, that we can bring that forward this year. Thanks. One of the things about Ambassador Brothers, I think it was 3 years. Yeah, over 3 years. That when he first went, he said, I'm going to make sure I'm going to get greater representation from Venezuela, and they're going to come and show you all what they do. And he has kept his word. So in the same way, one of the things I would want to say is that to the extent that we are looking to develop our agricultural sector, and I do know that Venezuela in itself, the agricultural sector do have some things that we can also learn from. We also need to also be able to go there and benefit from it, and that cultural exchange, that information exchange is also going to benefit both of us. So I want to thank you all.
Owen Wells, Progressive Liberal Party candidate for St. James in Bahamas, says public safety remains one of the most serious concerns for families in the constituency, pledging stronger, smarter security measures across the community. In a statement issued this afternoon, well, yesterday afternoon actually, Wells said his goal is for the residents to see and feel a stronger, smarter security presence where it matters most. Wells also revealed plans to improve street lighting in poorly lit corridors, upgrade public spaces that have become gathering points for antisocial behavior, and install cameras and other tools in high-risk areas. He noted that crime prevention requires regular engagement. Yep, and that's what we need to do here in Trinidad and Tobago, instead of trying to just have an SOE all the time. And consistent follow-through, emphasizing that leadership must be demonstrated through steady presence and accountability, not just during an election season. It's a Liberal Party, so I don't know if they lean on the left side. It sounds, or at least the name appears to be that way. I wonder if there's any conservative party in the Bahamas. Nevertheless, what he is suggesting there is good, though. International news now. Pakistan carried out airstrikes in Kabul and two other Afghan provinces early Friday. Afghanistan's government spokesman said hours after Afghanistan launched a cross-border attack on Pakistan. Now, why are you doing that? In the latest escalation of violence between the volatile neighbors that made a Qatar-mediated ceasefire appear increasingly shaky. Wow. At the end of the day, and all of you in support of certain types of concepts and you don't like Western civilization. But you see, that's the thing about it, While these jihadist nations try to cry down Israel and other Western countries, do you know that they fight amongst themselves the most? Yes. I'm telling you, we are just living in a time and in an era where there's complete hypocrisy and the world looks on and supports these individuals, even though they are the ones, whether it's in Nigeria, Sudan, Congo, Syria, they're the ones actually targeting Christians. No one says anything about it. Candace Owens doesn't say anything about it. Tucker Carlson doesn't say anything about it. The entire local media here in Trinidad and Tobago says nothing about it. Based on reports from Geneva that the gaps between the United States and Iran remain substantial, The prevailing assessment in Israel is that a military strike could be imminent. In other words, it could come, and probably hopefully soon. Meanwhile, the U.S. Air Force has evacuated its base in Qatar, a move that further underscores the seriousness of the situation. They're putting everything in place. It's like playing a chess game or whatsoever. And hopefully this is what Trump is really doing, and hopefully Trump doesn't end up falling for some other fake promise being made by the Ayatollah regime in Iran.
Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Ahead of our joint dinner, I surprised my friend Prime Minister Modi with traditional Indian attire. Standing ovation in Israel's Knesset for Prime Minister Modi. And so they should. This alliance is another step towards regional dominance for Israel.
Am Israel Kai.
Now, for the interesting facts segment, Canadian researchers have announced a landmark discovery in cold fusion that could provide the world with a source of infinite clean and zero waste power. Unlike traditional nuclear fission, this process aims to generate massive amounts of energy without the radioactive waste or the extreme conditions typically required for fusion. If scalable, this technology has the potential to completely reshape the global energy landscape and provide a permanent solution to carbon emissions. Now, that sounds quite interesting.
Now for the travel segment. Pattaya, located 150 kilometers southeast of Bangkok, is a vibrant, fast-paced coastal city in Thailand known for its energetic nightlife, bustling beaches, and diverse attractions. It has transformed into a versatile destination.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all. In Jesus' name.